It's the leading cause of lung cancer outside of smoking.
Wow.
So, but you have to realize that radon is coming up from the ground.
Yeah.
Right? So if you live in a tree house, your radon's going to be really low.
Yeah.
If you're living in a basement house or you're living in a bunker, then it's probably going to be really hot.
Once it comes up from the ground, like your treehouse example, if it's in the air, does it kind of dissipate and get blown away? So the closer to the ground you are, like a basement, that's the most important.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So a basement, that radon's coming in from the ground in the basement, but don't forget basements are also below grade, so it's also coming in from the walls. Okay. So if you have a walkout basement, you have 3 walls on the side that radon's coming in from. Okay. Plus you also have radon coming up from the ground. Okay. So the basements tend to be the highest. Okay. Now the lowest would be like a crawl space house, because that radon comes up into the crawl space, and then you have those crawl space vents with cross ventilation, and so a lot of it has a chance to escape
before it reaches to the main floor.
Now we find it on crawl space houses, but my experience is it tends to be a lot less frequent than a slab or a basement house.
So what is, like, how do you test for it and decide it's too high, and what is the treatment for radon?
Yeah, so there are different ways to test for it, but we have like a continuous monitoring machine. Okay. And so the EPA sort of sets all these rules, right?
And we know we can trust them. That's an aside.
So they set these rules, right? And so they say for a real estate transaction, we're allowed to take 48 different readings, 1 hour apart, right? A 48-hour test. So we'll set this little machine up, and they have all these rules on where it needs to be set up. Like it's got to be on an interior wall. It has to be a certain amount of inches off the ground. It can't be, within, say, 10 feet of like an air return. So they have all these rules on where they want you to test.
So the results won't get affected.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, and then we'll set these machines up, and it'll pop on just like for a split second. 48 different times over the course of 2 days. It'll take a reading, and then it averages all these readings together to come up with an average radon level. And then we compare that to what the EPA has set as sort of their threshold. Anything under it doesn't need to be mitigated. Anything over it does need to be mitigated.
And what is the threshold?
What's measured in picocuries per liter, and their threshold is 4.0. picocuries
so if it's under 4.0 picocuries per meter?
Per liter.
Per liter.
Yeah, then it doesn't need to be mitigated, and anything over that would need to be mitigated.